Ah, analog horror, the lowest barrier to entry for filmmaking. See, it used to be found footage, because with found footage, you didn't need to know anything about framing, or lighting, or sound design. All you had to do is pick up a camera, point it somewhere, and use natural lighting. If the camera's closer to you, then the louder the audio is. Push it away, the quieter it is. That's all you needed to know. But with analog horror, all you have to do is use PNGs and put text on the screen. You can make it. I can make an analog horror right now. And because of this low barrier to entry, there's sort of an oversaturation in the market right now on YouTube with analog horror. So I took it upon myself to go through the depths of r/analog horror to find some small creators and shout them out. And when I say small creators, I mean ones that are just barely smaller than my channel. All of these have at least under 1,000 views, some of them under 100, and I'm going to be shouting out the genuinely good stuff that people are making. Now, if you're looking at me to bash some small child's Five Nights at Freddy's alternate universe fan fiction, then get your booty back on to CinemaSinsville or wherever you came from, because here we're going to uplift creative voices. The first video I found is called Play Found Footage VHS Number 1 Storytime with Mr. Simon, Part 1. As of right now, it has 430 views on the YouTube channel that's just called Play. So let's take a watch.
And since you've been so faithful, it's now time for Story of the Week. The Tale of Little Brother Timothy.
Storytime with Mr. Simon might seem a little cliche at the beginning, as, you know, it's lost media found in an abandoned residence, and it's footage from this children's show, and, you know, children's media and stuff is very popular with analog horror. So despite seeming like something you've maybe already seen before, I found Storytime with Mr. Simon genuinely creepy at points. Storytime with Mr. Simon is exactly what it sounds like. It's a children's program with this guy named Mr. Simon, who, by the way, puts in a very good performance, as he takes out a book and reads you a story that gets a little dark at points. There's a thing called The Watcher in there, and I'm picking up on maybe some religious themes in this.
Watcher knows all. The Watcher sees all. Nothing remains unseen from the Watcher.
It doesn't use visual glitches or audio distortion randomly or just for shock value. All those are put in specific places that genuinely create an unsettling feeling in you. And I know at the beginning of the video I was kind of making fun of the low barrier to entry, just text on screen analog horror, but this certainly elevates it with a certain production value. There's a set, there's puppets, there's costumes and props. And I know if you're watching this at home and thinking, well, I don't think I can do that. That's way too much for me. May I pull back the screen and remind you that this is just one guy filming in one room. So if you don't think you can do this, I think you can, because it's sort of what I'm doing right now. There's even a part 2 out right now. If you're interested in watching that as well, I'd highly recommend Storytime with Mr. Simon. The next analog horror I'm taking a look at is called Haddonfield Archives, October 28th, from the YouTube channel Horned Overlord. As of right now, it has 93 views. And this is interesting because it actually takes place within the Halloween universe. So let's give it a watch. The Haddonfield Archives, again, falls into somewhat of a cliche in the analog horror space, which is a police incident report and crime scene photos. But the fun part about this is, well, it's in the universe of Halloween, so we sort of already know what's going on and what Michael Myers is capable of. It does take place in 2003, which I find interesting. Well, I guess all the staticky home video recording stuff wasn't really at its peak in the 70s, and we have to wait until the early 2000s for that. And like I said at the beginning of the video, yes, the good portion of this video is just text on screen reading, My really one critique of it is that some of the text can be a little small and hard to read, but hey, I judge it for what this is, and what this is a police report, so there's gonna be lots of words on a police report, okay? But what I find most impressive and where Horned Overlord shines is with the pictures and one video, as it says in the description that all of it is 3D rendered, so this person 3D rendered it all by themselves and created these pictures, and with them being 3D rendered, it gives a bit of an uncanny valley feeling to the pictures, where they look so realistic, but at the same time something's a little off, and that just adds to the creepiness. I think the pictures and the one video are lit very well, where it's just dark enough to where you can't really see everything and you have to use your imagination to fill in the bloody gaps. And that one video is the standout here, as I'm sure it is very lucrative and time consuming to 3D render and animate even that short of a video, and so I understand why there's not more videos, but hey, you know, if you ever get the time in the future, you know, maybe show some more videos, because I thought, you know, that was the best part of this. And I'm not sure if this is a standalone thing or just a part one, but it does tell a very succinct story of a Michael Myers rampage happening in Haddonfield. The next analog horror I'm going to take a look at is called I See You, posted by Caligula, and as of right now it has 40 views, so let's take a watch. Speaking of Halloween, I See You is shot mainly through the perspective of the killer, as we follow him stalking someone, getting into their house, and maybe some bad things ensue. I think I See You is a great example of the low barrier to entryness, but in a good way, in a way that inspires other people to make their own. This is just shot in someone's house, and just because it was shot easily doesn't mean it wasn't shot effectively. I love the lighting in this one shot, and the audio I think is great as the static noise gets louder as tensions are rising and right as the killer is closest to the victim. And the final shot as well is very eerie. And if I had to give one critique, I would say that, you know, it says this takes place in 1993, and as we go about the house, maybe we see some items that aren't necessarily from that time period. That it completely de-immerse me? No, but just something to look out for in the future, huh? But overall, it's very eerie with its simple story, making you wonder, why is this person filming it in the first place? What's their goal? What's their objective? And because we don't know that, it seems kind of scary that the fact that this person can show up even in my house. Nah, I'm kidding. The next analog horror we're going to take a look at is called Mallard Media Rescrambled by Matt Draws Things. So let's give it a watch.
A stands for apple. Scratch likes eating apples. Yummy. B stands for box. Scratch wonders what is in the box. Look in the box. Look in the box.
Okay, so Mallard Media Rescrambled is the scariest one yet, by far, and I think it might be the scariest one I talk about in this video. The entire thing is 2D animated with some parts of 3D animation, which is very, very impressive, and it's 13 minutes long, as it shows 3 different animated shorts featuring a cartoon character named Scratch the Rabbit, and it doesn't really ease you into it. The first short is scary. The audio design and voice acting very well done and gave me the creeps, and the first short started on such a high note that by the time we're at the second short, I'm already on edge, thinking what is about to happen because I'm scared and anything is on the table. And in the second short is very effective in the way it does its scares, because it fakes you out a few times, I'll say, and you're prepared for something to jump on screen, but oh, not yet, and it teases you and drags you along until the eventual scary thing. And after the second short, we actually get some lore dropped on us. I mean, there is some lore in the first two, but then we get some pretty significant lore. And the third short takes more of a serious tone, as the first 2 shorts were really about a children's show sort of thing. And the second short is a little more serious. It's still in that children's show way, but it's not written like a children's show. And the third short really compiles all the lore together and gives you a cohesive story. It's made in the way that it wants you to pause it on some frames and read some text and find hidden things in the background. It's great for film theory, okay? So if those guys want to tackle this, go ahead, because wow, it's pretty dense with some lore, which I applaud. It's not just scary faces and loud jump scares. It's telling an actually good story. Which, do I fully understand? No, not yet, because I haven't gone on and paused in the certain frames. My only critique is, by the end, it kind of shows you its hand a little bit and what the lore is and what the story is, and gives away a pretty big story detail that, I could have figured out on my own, I'd say, if I looked hard enough. The next analog horror video we're going to take a look at is called Statue, uploaded by PSD Trash Dream. As of right now, it has 275 views, so let's give it a watch.
Statue esprimono la mia volontà di distruggere il tempo e di rendere indistruttibile l'anima. Nelle mie statue c'è vita.
So you may have noticed, yeah, the whole thing is in Italian, but I didn't want language to be a barrier for this video because horror is for everybody. Even though there are no English subtitles and I have no idea what they're saying, I still sort of got the story, and it's scary through its visuals nonetheless. From what I gather, it tells the story of a sculptor artist and his statues that can be pretty scary. It's combined 2D art with some live action segments with some 3D animated segments, blending them all cohesively together to create something genuinely scary. And they say a movie's good when you can watch it on mute and just see the visuals. That's what this is like, because I have no idea what they're saying, but I still got a deep appreciation for it. And the last analog horror video we're going to take a look at is called Actually Change of Plan. No, I'm kidding. It's actually the next day, if anything looks different. It turns out the video I was going to shout out, turns out it wasn't wholly original. It was taking a pre-existing video that was already fairly popular on YouTube and sort of just remixing it to make it look scary. Sort of like if someone re-uploaded my Igor video in full and then at the end just added a bit of text saying that I died because Igor came out of the screen and strangled me with his big arms. So I'm back again today to give out another shout out to something a little more original. And what I found for you today is a video called Horrornauts: How to Trade Curses Halloween Visualizer. If that title seems a little weird, well, it's because it's a music video from an artist named Horrornauts, and the song is called How to Trade Curses, and this is called a Halloween visualizer, I guess. It's an analog horror video that goes along with the song in the background, and I think it's pretty cool. At the beginning of the video of just haha put text on screen, that's all you have to do. But this one, genuinely, there's no 3D animated elements to it, there's no live action stuff. It genuinely just is pictures and words on screen. But it's unique in many different ways. First of all, well, yeah, it's a freaking music video, and there's an original song in the background that's quite good. And I'm pretty sure his album just came out with this song on it, so give it a listen. I really enjoyed the song, and the visuals and story that's going on screen is also quite interesting. I found this to be quite a unique take, because usually with just the text on screen analog horrors, it's either, a public service announcement, an emergency announcement, cable news thing, a police government report about a circumstance that happened. But no, this is different. What we're seeing here in the visuals, I think, is a video that is given to citizens to watch if they are having some sort of mental breakdown. And so the whole video is giving you exercises to do to like snap out of any like manic trance you might be in. Which I thought is really cool. And then as it progresses, things get a little more, analog horror E, and what we just watched basically plays again, but this time altered to have a different meaning, which, you know, is always cool. I think this is a prime example of how to do text on screen with pictures right. And I know what you might be thinking, but I don't have a good singing voice. I can't write original music. That's okay. Because even if the excellent original song was not playing under this video, and if it was just the video, it would still be great analog horror, and if it was just static noises or whatever. But the song, of course, is very helpful to elevate it to the next level to where you can now analyze the lyrics of the song and put that meaning to the video to find out any extra lore there might be. So with that, go check out Horrornauts and their music, and I'm going to send it back to myself in the other recording session. So those were all the analog horror videos I looked at today. All of them will be in the description with the channel that made them, so go subscribe to them all, check out all those videos. Again, I think supporting small creators is a good thing in uplifting their voices and not just bashing on, you know, people who might not get the hang of it yet. And speaking of small creators, I guess I'm technically considered one if you want to subscribe. And like I said, analog horror is a very close relative to found footage movies, so maybe check out these videos I did on found footage movies, and I'll see you guys next time.